C'est l'esclavage en Europe, comme si nous étions au XVIe siècle.
You have to close the mouth about the condition and how they pay.
Vivo aquí en el Chabola, sin trabajo, sin comida, sin nada.
I'm in the Costa del Sol in southern Spain, where millions of holidaymakers come every year. What they don't realise is that behind them, running all the way up to the mountains, is this huge area of plastic greenhouses, a sort of industrial agricultural landscape. This is where they grow the tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers that supply Britain, Germany and Holland. Nearly all the big European supermarkets, including British retailers, buy their vegetables here to meet our constant demand for fresh salad. It's an industry worth over €2 billion a year to Spanish farmers. And along with tourism, agriculture has transformed the area, which was once the poorest province in Spain. But this boom's only been possible thanks to migrant labour. It's needed a cheap workforce that can be turned on and off at will, so it sucked in thousands and thousands of foreigners, first Moroccans, then West Africans and Eastern Europeans. I've been told there's a large group of migrant workers living here, so I'm just going to come and see what the conditions are like in this place. Sang from Gambia has been working in Spain for the last 5 years. How many people are living here at the moment?
Roughly, sometimes we have 40 or above even 40 sometimes. It's here where the buses come to search for people to take to work.
Less than a mile away from the tourist hotels on the Costa del Sol, many migrants live in abandoned farmhouses with no running water or toilets. In the boom times, the authorities sent those arriving illegally from Africa here to work in the greenhouses. Experts believe there may now be up to 100,000 migrants living in Almeria, most without papers. Many, like Sang, came to Spain to make a better life for their families back home. When you send money back to Africa, how many people are you trying to support?
More than 30 people.
More than 30?
Yes, because my family is an extended family. Their aspiration and hope is on me right now because I am in need of whatsoever they expect. By the end of the month I send something to support them.
Sang actually thought he was one of the lucky ones. He wanted to show me where many other migrants are forced to live.
These are chabolas. These are the ones they call chabolas. They make this shelter, or they just make it like this with the vegetable boxes in order to stay, because they have nowhere to stay.
Sang told me there are hundreds of shacks like these, dotted among the greenhouses.
This is water. They collect it from elsewhere to bring it here because they have no water. Yeah.
But these are old pesticide bottles. They've got warning signs on them. What strikes you is the almost complete segregation. On the beach, the white population enjoys the sand and sea, and there are no blacks apart from hawkers. The Africans live out of sight in slums and say they're not welcome in town.
And here, 4 people live here, I can see. I think it's a sort of store.
Yeah. And that looks like a washing area, is it? They've
yes,
to,
it's a bathroom.
Keep a separate area for washing. It's really extraordinary to see conditions like this in the middle of 21st century Europe. People living in unbelievable squalor. Having not seen their families for years, most of the men here said they were too ashamed to admit how hard life is to those back home. But 26-year-old Mohammed did agree to talk to me. At first he'd had work at half the legal wage, but it had dried up.
Yo vengo con la patera en Marruecos aquí, con el patera. Vinimos 40 personas. Cada persona paga 1.000 euros, venimos aquí. España lleva coche, dinero. Cuando vengo aquí no hay, yo perdí 1.000 euros, perdí 6 años, he perdido todo. Y mi padre que me da 1.000 euros. Mi padre no tiene, mi padre está pobre.
He sounded angry and defeated. He felt he'd sacrificed his youth for nothing.
Vivo aquí en Chabola, arreglo Chabola y vivo aquí. Sin trabajo, sin comida, sin nada. No hay nada aquí. Ya sentado, dormir, ni ventana, no hay trabajo ni nada, ya está. Es ruina.
Without papers, the migrants are trapped. They can't return home, even if they want to. So it's just after daybreak, and we're driving down into a small market agricultural town called San Isidro. It's one of the areas right in the middle of the hothouses. And as we come into town here now, I can see already there are sort of little huddles of men, nearly all African, hanging around under trees, hoping for someone to pick them up for work. There's another bigger group under the trees here. You get a sense of the sort of desperation just having to hang around for a couple of hours each morning, hoping they're going to get work, but most of them knowing they're not going to. I met Sharif, who used to be a teacher in Senegal, where he has 2 children to support.
How to find work? It is normally a daily work. You have to go daily to the farmer and ask about work.
Sharif spends about 4 hours a day walking around the greenhouses, asking farmers for work.
Hola, jefe.
Hola.
¿Qué tal? Estoy buscando trabajo.
No, tengo ya persona.
Nada.
Tengo ya persona.
Okay.
Y ahí ya persona.
Sharif told me how tough the work is, with temperatures sometimes reaching 40 or even 50 degrees under the plastic. It's nothing like teaching. The pay can be as little as 20 euros, less than half the minimum wage in Spain, or even nothing at all. Without papers, the migrants are very easy to exploit. Do people check whether you have papers when you try to get work?
No. They get, the first question is, how long time are you here? Can you do the job good? And you have to close the mouth about the condition and how they pay. That is more important for them than paper.
So you mustn't complain. They don't
Yeah,
want
no complaining.
Okay. The farmers want a cheap workforce they can hire or fire whenever they want to help cut production costs, especially during this economic crisis when supermarket buyers have been squeezing their margins. With unemployment at 20%, many Spanish are turning to the jobs migrants used to do. This has led to rising tensions between the communities. When anything goes wrong, Africans are often the first to be blamed. Thousands of migrants now depend on food distributed by charities. In San Isidro, a group of Catholic nuns have set up a feeding centre.
En el 2002 llegó el primer autobús que venía directamente desde Barajas con 30 y tantos subsaharianos. Fueron las primeras personas de color que vinieron aquí. Los centros de internamiento de Canarias estaban colapsados, estaban llenos. Las traía la policía en un autobús y las dejaron en la plaza.
She told me the authorities simply relocated the migrants to areas where labour was needed, with no thought to the consequences.
En San Isidro, censadas hay próximo a las 7.000 personas, un 40% inmigrantes. Puede superar, en total puede superar las 4.000 personas. Entonces, tanto las otras hermanas como yo nos sentimos muy mal. Hay momentos en los que sentimos rabia, sentimos impotencia, lloramos, muchas veces lloramos. Todos son personas humanas, entonces tienen las mismas necesidades que nosotros y le negamos todo, todo.
I've found this desperation elsewhere too. A couple of 100 kilometres north of Almería is Jaén, one of the largest olive oil producing areas in the world. Migrants from all over Spain have moved here recently to search for work on the olive harvest. I arrived to see hundreds of men queuing to receive food from a charity. Ashamed of being seen in such dire straits and afraid of being deported, most didn't want to be filmed. But one was so frustrated he wanted to tell me what was happening here.
What is the queue for?
The queue is what? Because we don't have any work to do, we are traveling all the way from Barcelona, and then we come here for such of work. It's very hard for us to get work to do here, you see? And then we come, there's no place.
Yes.
We are outside, so we have to contact them for them to help us.
And who's here? This is the Red Cross?
This is a Red Cross, and they are trying to give us food to eat.
And where do you sleep?
They are giving a place to sleep. Just 3 days, then we have to come out from that place.
Only 3 days? And
3 days.
And then what happens?
Now, if you 3 days end, then you have to find another way.
So you sleep on the
yes,
road?
yes.
Sleep on the road?
Yeah.
Do you hope to go home?
Yeah. We can't go home and start. We want to start work. You have to get enough money for you to start work. Okay. Yeah. If there's no money, you can't afford to go home. That's why we are struggling to get a little money. Then we go home and help our family over there.
So you're stuck here at the minute.
Yeah.
You get a real sense of anger in the air here, that they've been encouraged to come for work and people have been happy to turn a blind eye while the farming industry here needed them. But now they've been reduced to taking handouts from charity and they feel they've lost their dignity.
Before leaving, I met Spitu, a migrant-turned-activist fighting for workers' rights.
Les agriculteurs, ils ont besoin juste d'une main-d'œuvre, pas qualifiée, malléable, qui ne coûte absolument rien. Et on n'améliore qu'un seul secteur, c'est le gros entrepreneur, c'est l'agrobusiness qui l'emporte, hein? C'est le capitaliste qui l'emporte et l'humanité est tuée comme ça. Les gens vont répondre. Tu vas me gifler une fois, la deuxième fois, je lève la main, quitte à ce que tu me tues, et c'est ce qui va arriver. Les gens font comme la sourde oreille. Mais tout le monde sait que ça existe, ce système. C'est l'esclavage en Europe. Aux portes de l'Europe, il y a l'esclavage, comme si nous étions au XVIe siècle. Disons quelque chose ensemble. Non. Tout le monde peut le dire. Non. Tout le monde peut dire, si vous continuez comme ça, on ne va plus acheter vos produits. Pourquoi on ne le dit pas?